So what I'm going to do today, I hope, is to read the beginning of the memoir to you. And I'm just going to read the prologue and then the first chapter. And the book is called My Father's Son, An American Life. And it begins with this quote by Walt Whitman. I cannot be awake, for nothing looks to me as it did before, or else I am awake for the first time, and all before has been a mean sleep. Prologue. On a beautiful fall day in 1998, I visited the place in Brooklyn where the squeeze of a trigger changed my life. I was shot there early one August morning in 1984. It was and is a lovely street with beautiful brick and brownstone houses. I arrived midday for my visit. On one stoop, some folks are selling books. I give the books a quick once-over. I then look for exactly where I'd been standing when I was shot. Soon, I'm standing in front of a house I'm pretty sure I was walking past when I was held up. But there's a problem. I remember a small tree and a squared patch of earth in front of the house, but there's no tree now, so I'm hesitant to conclude I've found the right spot. As I'm standing there, a pleasant-looking man who looks to be in his early 60s approaches the gate to the 3-foot wrought iron fence that opens onto the small, modest, well-kept front yard. I say, "Excuse me, sir, were you living here in 1984? His kind face turns to me. Been here more than 30 years. Do you remember a young man being shot in front of your house in 1984? I take off my sunglasses as he nods yes, and there is an instant, inexplicable moment of recognition between the two of us. We'd never met face to face before, but he knew who I was, and somehow I knew him. We shared a long, moist-eyed, heartfelt embrace. His name is Paco Morales, and he tells me he and his family had just come out of the house with towels to help stop the bleeding, just as the police were putting me in a car to take me to the hospital. I told him I'd been pretty sure I'd been shot in front of his house, but I could have sworn there'd been a tree out front. There was, he said, pointing to a sidewalk square that was a shade lighter than the others. It started to die right after you got shot. They tried to save it, but it died anyway. Chapter 1. I don't understand. I am lying on the ground, bleeding to death, and I don't understand. I wasn't bothering anybody. I was just going to work. I was just walking down the street to pick up my cab at the Fleet Garage, minding my own business, and now I am on the ground, blood pouring out of my head, dying. I had only a block and a half to go when I heard the sound of keys behind me, and suddenly a hand grabs me and a wild-eyed kid is pointing a gun at my head saying, "Don't fucking move." I say I won't, and immediately look away because I don't want him thinking I'll remember his face. I feel the gun pressed against my head, and someone is now behind me going through my pockets. It is 1984, and I am 30 years old, standing on Bergen Street in Brooklyn with a gun against my head, and I am waiting for this wild-eyed kid to hit me on the head so he and the other guy can get a running head start. He never hits me. Instead, he pulls the trigger and shoots me. I come to on the ground, can't feel anything from my neck down. The top of my head feels like it's been blown off. I open my eyes and I can't see. I have no sight, no feeling from my neck down, and I know I'm going to die now. I see my 7-year-old daughter Jennifer's face as someone tells her that her daddy's dead. I think maybe if I can stand up and die trying to get to the hospital, she'll know in the end I didn't give up. My daughter, who is my angel, will know I tried my best. I can leave her on a courage note. It feels like a dark, damp blanket is tightening around me now. I think about my father dying when I was 15, and I think if he can go from here to there, from life to death, then maybe I can too. If my father, the greatest gift life has ever given me, has done this, then so can I. Maybe it's okay after all. Maybe dying is not so bad. I am in these thoughts when, like a low-lying cloud, The fear begins to lift, and the dark, damp blanket loosens. I am beginning to see smoky shapes, images that make no sense to me. I realize I am lying on my right side on the sidewalk. I see the base of a small tree to my right. Next thing I know, I am standing up, but I don't remember getting up. I lift my hand to my head, and the blood hits my hand before my hand reaches the wound. I take the blue hooded sweatshirt that was tied around my waist and press it against the wound to stop the bleeding. That's all for now. Thank you for listening.